I'd like to welcome our guest speaker for today, Mr. Shamil Bishri, who is leading our brand marketing for prepaid. He's very versatile in the subject of brand management, and he's here to give us an insight on how to develop brands, the importance of brand. So I will hand over to Shamil who will take us through for this.
Thanks, Kushal. Okay, I hope that you all are here to learn about the brand, right? What is a brand and how your app convert into a brand and what are the benefits of building a brand. Okay, before getting into that, just to go back and how I got into this brand field, just to enhance your knowledge, because my father had a grocery business to start with when I was going to school. Then I used to go to that shop as well to help him. When I was in that shop, there were so many big brands like Anchor, Nespresso, all are coming in every week, Monday to Sunday or Friday, even weekends. And then one thing which I got notice or got my attention was how much of money they are spending on merchandising. When they come, they tell, keep this space for us. And when they come on Monday, and comes on Monday, and that's that particular panel with all their merchandising. And Thursday, Nespresso comes, and they fight for the same panel. Then I asked the question, hey guys, why are you spending all these posters and all this stuff? Why can't you reduce the price and give it at a low price to your consumer? People will buy it. That was a question which I asked from the sales guy. He couldn't give answers. So then I realized there should be something behind why companies are spending such a lot of money on posters which has only a 3 or 4 days lifespan, and then it gets covered. And imagine it's only one shop. Imagine how many shops in the country, 150,000 shops in the country. Lifespan of 3 days, every week, 365 days of the year, you do the same routine and go through the same brand building process at the retail point. This is retail merchandising. So then it triggered the interest of mine to get into marketing and sales. And also there was another example which also triggered. There were unknown brands coming into the shop, and then they were trying to put these stocks into our outlets. Then I was asking, why can't you advertise and after that subsequently put it to our outlet? Because we spend money on the products and offtake, we heavily depend on the offtake because our money is getting stacked in these unmoving products. Then the sales guy told me that no sir, we can't advertise now itself because it's not available island-wide. We are selecting certain geographic locations. Once we cover the entire island, we will advertise it on TV. So that also triggered another point which I was thinking, okay, there's some science in availability and advertising. So I need to know about what is marketing, what is a brand, how the brand is being built, what is the role which a merchant is doing at the retail point, how all these gets interconnected. Then I went into studying marketing, and then now I have a good knowledge about how brand building goes on. So you all might be having these same questions because marketing is a specialized field. You all are specialized in developing apps. In a company also it's like the same thing. There are people who knows lots about finance, lots about IT stuff or operation stuff. Some knows good in marketing. So it's a team effort in a company into making it to a profit-making organization. So my presentation has 5 elements. First, we will look at what is this brand building process. We will look at how big brands get into this brand building process and what is the benefit out of it. And then we will look into how to define the target audience. Who are you going behind? Why should you go behind this target audience? Especially in your case, mind you, it's very challenging because y'all are not going to spend a lot of money on advertising. Y'all don't have money in the sense millions or millions which companies pay. But there are ways and means which you can build your brand. So that is the fifth element, how you will build your brand with limited budgets. So before getting into all those stuff, first I will show you a AV. Once you see it, we'll go into the discussion.
Hi, hear about the room?
Come on in.
Hey, hi, I'll show you around. Kathy,
Hiya.
trainee chef. Won't let anyone else cook.
Ugh, chic flick. Football legends!
This is a sad cleaning department. Now, I'm afraid you're stuck with the box room. Balcony.
Carlsberg don't do flatmates. But if we did,
And that is how we beat England in Stuttgart.
they'd probably be the best flatmates in the world.
Hello, I'm a Mac. Mac has issued a salutation, cancel or allow.
Allow, and I'm a PC.
You're returning Mac's salutation, cancel or allow?
Allow.
Okay, what gives? Mac is asking a question, cancel or allow?
Allow. He's part of Vista, my new operating system. PCs have a lot of security problems, so he asked me to authorize pretty much anything I do.
You're pointing out Vista's flaws, cancel or allow?
Allow. I could turn him off, but then he wouldn't give me any warnings at all, and that would defeat the purpose, so.
You are coming to a sad realization, cancel or allow?
Allow.
Strange love, even though you hurt me, I
the Coca-Cola and the BMW. What are these companies? So what are these companies trying to communicate? These are what we call brand promises. A brand should have a brand promise. They give these promises for consumers. Consumers believe in brands because what companies deliver. So it's a result of delivery versus expectations, meeting customers' needs. So this brand building process is not a 1 year or a 2 year or a 3 year process. It's a long duration. Now, for example, Coke has been existing in this world for more than 200 or 150 years like. So still it's very strong. So if I ask you a question, what is your biggest asset which you have currently? Is it the amount of money you have? By potential, by looking at the potential. Is it the vehicle which you have? Some might have a car, some might have a motorbike or whatever. Social media. I'm asking what is the asset which you have currently, which has potential?
Your knowledge.
Sorry?
Your knowledge.
Your knowledge, okay.
Conversations you have been through these past few years.
Close. What is the biggest asset you have with you currently? Which has the potential, which is within your control. Whatever you do over a period of time will make it your biggest.
The way you communicate, the way you give your idea about everything to another person.
Communication.
Okay. Now you are getting into your skills. I was asking about your asset. Your asset is basically your brand. What is your brand? The app which you are developing. If it's Yalu, Yalu is your asset. If it's Love Calculator is your asset. That is your brand name. Now, I told you that that is the most valuable asset. But currently, it's not. Why? Because only few people knows about it. More you know, more people knows about that brand and depends on that brand and trust that brand. That's the time which that brand gets more value. So we'll get into the brand building process and understand how you build a brand over time. Okay, first we'll look at ඉස්සෙල්ලාම බලමු මේ brand සම්බන්ධයෙන් තියෙන මේ දුර්මතයන්. ඒ කියන්නේ මිනිස්සු හොදගෙන තියෙන විශ්වාසයන්, ඒ කියන්නේ මිත්‍යා විශ්වාස මොනවද කියලා බලමු. First of all, a brand is not a logo. ඔයගලන්ට brands වෙනවා මේ screen එකේ තියෙන ඔක්කොම Coca-Cola to all multinational these are all logos. These are not brands. I will come back to you on what is a brand exactly. So keep in mind, this is the identification. In a marketplace which is crowded, for example, Anchor Nestle example which I quoted. So in a category, you need to have some identification. So that logo it should be very prominent. Throughout this presentation, don't think of these big brands. Always try to imply it to your small brand, whatever the app which you have developed, and see how relevant it is to your app. Now this is a big scale, or in the higher scale of marketing what big brands are doing. But it doesn't mean that it will not be relevant for you all because you all are doing it at a lower scale. In all these big brands have started small. So there's always a starting point. So you all are at that stage, right? So always apply your current status and then see how can you move forward. Okay. Then we also say a brand is not a product. So a brand is not a name, a brand is not a product. So what is a brand? Here comes the brand. This is the definition of a brand. The brand, what do we call as a brand is what your customer knows about it, what your customer feels about it, about that product which that organization is giving, product or the service. So it's all to do with the customers. How many customers you currently have with your each and every app which you have developed. That is a clear indication how strong is your brand. You might be starting with few people using it, but it's not the end. You have more potential to grow in your brand. So always keep in mind that customer comes in as the first place in brand building exercise. So as I said, customers' experience forms brands. What is the experience you get when you download your love calculator? What is the need you're trying to fulfill? The consumer's need hierarchy. If it's Yahoo, what is the social bond which you are trying to create between your groups or among friend groups? So likewise, there should be a clear need. The brand comes in and then helps out the consumer to fulfill that need. So it's interactions, feelings equals the brand which gets developed. In other words, it's not what you say, it's about what they are saying to you. That means a customer. Okay, then we'll go into how big brands develop or get into brand building process. One of the exercises which they continuously do is they surprise or they amaze customers. Example. For example, if I tell you when you go to pump in petrol, say to a shed, all of a sudden if a guy who is pumping petrol comes in and says, "Sir, I'm going to clean your windscreen today. It's free of charge because you came to pump in petrol." Does it happen here? Does it happen here? No.
So
when it happens,
a few years back.
10 years
back.
Okay, it happened.
Not now.
Yeah. So
King of the past.
King of the past, yes. So that brings that delight factor in. So if you want to really market, because it's almost monopoly like with IOC and limited number of Petco petrol sheds, so they don't feel more competitive. The market is not so competitive in petrol, so they don't care about, because there's no alternate for customers. If you don't want to get from this, go to the next IOC. So in strong brand building, there's always this delight element comes in. The customers are expecting something to get, but he's getting something additional. For example, apply it to your context. When they come, when they use one of your apps, can you give something additional to that customer, which he is not expecting, which enriches that bond which he has with your app? Think about it. So these are brand building activities which I am telling you. And the other thing is, be charismatic. A brand should be charismatic. What do you mean by charismatic? A charismatic brand is any product, service or organization in which people believe there's no substitute. They won't move out. There's a lot of loyalty between those two, consumers and the brand. Why? Because they have built up this trust over a period of time. So they don't see another similar product or another similar app as a substitute for them. So when you have built up your close group or the people or the consumers who have hooked on to your app, whatever the app which you have, next day when there's a similar app comes into the market, they will not feel like moving out because they know you have fulfilled their requirement and they are extremely happy with your service. And the other thing is, all successful brands differentiate. Always do things differently. So as a result, they stand out. Multinationals or small brands, irrespective of whatever it is, they do stuff differently. What's the other characteristic? They are always innovating. Innovation is a central point of these brands. They don't give the same product over and over to the consumer. They change. Look at even commodities like soap. They try to do some change because they are the people who have the least possible chances of doing a change in their product. Like say Sunlight. How many years it has been in the market? Every year they say something new Sunlight or whatever, and they put something to it and say it's new. Why? People should feel that it's changing. The brand evolves with the consumer. So if not, what happens is Sunlight will become an aging brand because people will feel, oh, it's for the old generation. What about the new generation? So they continuously revive it. So in your apps also, wherever it's communicated, the touch points, you have to ensure that it evolves with the consumer, changes with the current trends of your consumer. You have to understand what your consumer's needs are before you get into the development process. So it's very important. It's very important to first, I will get into that stage, to identify your target audience and see what are the changes happening in that target audience, and your brand should also evolve with that process. What are these innovative brands? Look at Gillette, Razor. It has 62 or 60, more than 60 patents under its name. A simple razor. Can you imagine how much of patents they could have, or how much of innovation they could have? For the face value, it's just a razor, but no, they have a lot of stuff going in terms of research and development to enhance the user experience, safety, the number of the quality of the blades, the handle, the grip, all those stuff. There's a lot of research being done, and every year they upgrade. They are simple tool like a razor. So if a brand like a razor can upgrade and sustain for more than 100 years, any brand can do it. Technology front, yes, these are on the top. These people have the advantage of bringing out new innovations, like the tabs, the new versions of Apple iOS devices coming out. So they are on the top. So they also know that if they don't innovate, they will move out from the market. Look at what happened to BlackBerry. They were dominating for a certain time in the corporate sector, but they were very lenient on innovation. They did not come out with new handsets. They did not come out with operating systems which are consumer friendly. So likewise, it's going on its own, right? Slides are going on its own. Yeah. Samsung, a challenger for Apple iPhone. So all these people, if they don't innovate, they will die. So in apps also the same case. You have to innovate. You have to give new features. Look at Facebook, how it started, and see how much of evolvement Facebook has brought it to the consumer. Like timelines too, they could have just relaxed. But if they relax, Google Plus will come and overtake their position. So no one's position is secure. If you rest, you're gone. Right? And in a sports brand, Nike, all famous sports stars, they use Nike. Why? Because their performance is very superior. They know that it's a performance enhancer. Because all these professional athletes, the difference between the first and the second would decide with milliseconds. So all these brands would go ahead with innovation. Okay, so when you go through this brand building process, finally you build up not customers. We call them fans. There's a difference between fans and customers. Can anyone say what is the difference? Who are these fans and who are these customers? Customers are people who buy your products or uses your products day in, day out. But fans are a base which who will go that extra mile. They will not only buy your products, but they will promote. Basically, that is the base which you have to go behind. People who actively promote, saying, hey guys, I found this app in the Etisalat app zone. It's very cool, why don't you use it? They recommend. When a consumer recommends, people tend to buy. So if the brand is strong, you have a lot of fans behind the brand. This is not people like on Facebook who says, I like. These are not people who says like. Fans are different. Fans are people who go that extra mile to change the others or in your peer group to use your service. So building fans is another exercise which you will have to continuously do. Okay. Then we get into, now you saw what are the intrinsic values of a big brand, like innovation, differentiation. Likewise, we'll get into the brand building process now. I want you all to, from tomorrow onwards, look at your brand, look at your app and build this process for you all, your own process, right? What is your own brand building process? And then I will explain it in Etisalat context. This is on Etisalat, what we are trying to do. It's for a big brand like a telecom, but go back and work it out for your own brand, your own app, which you have developed. Okay. So, what is your brand purpose? You have to ask this fundamental question. Tomorrow, if you don't have this app, whatever you have developed, you have built a set of customers or fans behind it, will they miss anything? Now if you take a big brand like telecommunications like Etisalat, if we take that brand out tomorrow, saying no Etisalat tomorrow in Sri Lanka, will that 4.5 million customers feel something? That is the essence of your brand. If they say, oh God, I am going to lose my brand tomorrow, I am missing X, Y, Z because of that. This brand was with me for so many years and I have trusted on these things, and tomorrow it's not there, so I'm going to feel it badly. Think about it in the app context also. If you take out one of your apps where customers are using, what would they feel? That is the purpose of your brand. That is the need which you are fulfilling. So write down what that purpose which you all are trying to fulfill. Brand purpose is, so okay, this is Etisalat's brand purpose. What are we trying to do? Our brand purpose is to find fresh, clever ways to inspire good change and enrich people's lives. You might have seen our recent TV commercials which talks about this enrichment. We wanted to give a novel experience to our consumers. So that's why we ran the series of commercials. You might have got exposed, which says Obaganamai. So that is the starting point of our brand building process for this year. Who fits your target audience? Okay, target audience is another critical element. Define who's your target audience. Example, if you have an app which talks about travel, who's your target audience? It gives hints on travel tips. Example, wherever you go in Sri Lanka, you can get travel tips with your app. So your target audience is frequent travelers, right? So that is your target audience. And then define what is the age group of this target audience. Where do they frequently go? What is their profile? What is their income level? That is your audience which your brand should go actively be present in each of these places where these people come and patronize. Take another example like Yalu, socializing app. Okay, so where do people socialize most of the time? Where do they go? They go to watch movies, they go to shopping malls, they go to see exhibitions. So likewise, profile that customer. What is the age group which you want on that particular app? Likewise, so you get into this target audience defining process. So what is our target audience? Etisalat, it's not simple as defining like a certain need like the travelers or the socializing group, because we have a wide range of customers which we have to fulfill their requirements. So we have taken the approach of looking at psychographics. We call it this process of defining your target audience, we call it segmentation. If you are interested, go to Google and find out what is segmentation, how you can do segmentation for brands. So psychographic is a segmentation approach where you look at huge or big communities and try to be appealing to a larger community. So in our case, what we are trying to do is we are going to go behind individuals and give them who are looking for new experience. They are experience seekers, trendsetters, young or old achievers, value achievements, free thinkers, work for a living and local at heart. So what it says is they are going behind go-getters, people who have aspirations, who want to bend in life. So that is the brand purpose or brand target audience which Etisalat is actively going behind. So define your target audience. It's very simple, not like complicated like Etisalat, because your app is catered to a need or a group of people who want that particular app. Okay, so this is a typical Etisalat person's thinking process. So he wants always more than 100% to achieve. He wants to, he has the positive attitude, I can do attitude. So likewise, we have looked at what are the statements which comes from these type of people. So do the same thing as I told you in your app as well, or in your brand which you have developed. What are the brand values? Again, with Etisalat also, we are the forefront of innovation. So we are going behind giving new technology to the consumer. Not only technology, in terms of devices, introducing new devices, plus integrating other industries like the book hub. Conventionally, people were reading books, physical books, right? We changed it. We changed the dynamics, and then we brought it virtual books to your tablet or your phone, so you can read it without buying a physical book. So likewise, cross-industry integrations, those are all innovations which we have introduced to the market. So likewise, see what are the other innovations which you all can do. Custom experience, enhancing custom experience is also one of Etisalat's values. This is another core value which you all also need to bring into your brand building process. Ask questions if you have. I'm going speedily because we started a bit late. Then define the brand personality. Brand personality is another interesting characteristic. When you get into, now for example, you all are still at the early stage of your app. When you get into a more mature stage, for example, when you want to say, if you want to get into the Android market, or if you want to get into the iOS market, and you are going in behind a global community, not only the Sri Lankan community, I am showing you the path, but how far you can extend. But you have started small. There's huge potential. That's why I started saying your biggest asset is what you have done already. But it depends on how many people gets hooked onto that app, and how many people trust that app, and how many people misses that app if you take it off next day. So look at the personality. When you want, for example, I told you that Etisalat is going behind people who have positive mindset, positive attitude. So when you advertise, you have to portray a person or a personality on TV commercials or on billboards or whatever. When big brands build personalities, they go behind characteristics, people who have those characteristics. If you look at our recent brand building activities like Anu, Vidu, whoever, the 4 characteristics which we showed, they all have needs or aspirations to move up in their social hierarchy. So in brand personality, you define what sort of a person should reflect your brand, and then as a result you show him on your communication. So this is the set of characteristics which we want our brand personality to portray. He should be energetic, he should be caring, open, confident, trendy, optimistic. So in all our commercials, if you see a model or a personality, we will try to portray these characteristics. brand reflection is another element. Think after communicating all these stuff to our consumer, what does the consumer feel with the brand? I see myself as a person who looks for new ideas and perspectives. Etisalat enhances this persona. It helps me to be seen as someone who redefines the status quo. So after all those communications, we define what the customer wants to say about us. That is our objective. End of the day, research would tell what the customer's decoding would be. But as a company, as a personality, we want customers to say this. If we have achieved this, then we have achieved our brand building process. So we go into that extent of defining what customer is thinking about our app also. So define that. So as I told you, end of today, tomorrow, do this exercise for your app. That is going to be your Bible of your starting point of building your brand. That is your app. And always be conscious of all these characteristics of a strong brand and build it, nurture it over a period of time. It's a long process, but starts now. Okay, so this is our proposition, inspires and empowers you. So Etisalat stands for inspiration. Inspiration is where you bring out inner needs of people who wants to go up in their life, who has a lot of inspiring ideas. Finally, how do we want the brand to be remembered by consumers? Etisalat equals a game changer. They are the people who brings new technology, not only technology, new innovations to the market, first to introduce, and I can depend on Etisalat. Okay, so this is the brand building process of a big brand. But I told and I started, don't think big, apply it to your context. How can you start this process from day one? Now I'm going to, this is going to be interesting, the last segment of the discussion. All these brands has millions of millions rupees to spend on TV, radio, press, as I told at the merchandising place, dumping about what 150 million at least if it's a FMCG brand. If it's a telco, much more than that. But how much do we have to start with? Very little, right? So how can we in this whole exercise of brand building start somewhere and move forward? How can we do that? So that is the next stage of our discussion. Let's see how we can do. Okay. First of all, as I told you, you have to communicate with your consumer. You have to constantly keep in touch with him. So we call this as touch points. That's why big brands always be present on the TV, be present on radio. There's this thing called share of mind. If you go out of your share of mind in your consumer's mindset thinking process, you will be nowhere. You have to constantly engage with them. If, for example, if Etisalat stopped advertising from today for the next 2 months, it will go out of people's mind, even though we have built it over a period of time. It should be always in the consumer's mind, then only it triggers the purchase behavior. If it's out of mind, we call it, there's a statement which says in English, out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. You'll always see, hear, touch your brand continuously. Then only it will come on top of your mind. As a result, you get into the purchase cycle and consume the product. In this case, the app. So you have to regularly communicate with your consumers. So these are some of the touch points which big brands as well as small brands or starting brands like you all can start with. We'll go one by one and see how you can do it. First of all, in this case, the brand and you are very synonymous. That means you both are one person, like, because you all have introduced the brand, you all are trying to nurture it. You or the brand both looks at the same at this point, because it's a personal brand at this point. So in a personal brand, That's why you brought in, say, communication. Those skills, when I asked what is your valuable asset which you have, you try to bring out your skills into it. Because of that, because you all brought in this app, you all developed this app, so you feel that this app and you both are same. No, now you have to detach both, and you have to get involved in building that brand which you all have brought into the marketplace. First of all, how can you do it? Networking is an important element in whatever you do. For example, I can't give individual examples which is relevant for your industry, but I will give few examples which you have to look at how it will appeal or reflect on your particular app. Say an app where you build up for socializing. If you are a university student, your biggest asset would be your network. How many people you know within the university. Networking is an essential skill when it comes to giving publicity at a very low cost. There's no cost at all. When you have, say, 50, 60 friends in your network versus another guy who has 300, 400 friends, who has the advantage of communicating to a bigger audience, the second one, because he has more networking skills. So I don't think you all, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of developers are like, does not want to, they're not extroverts, they are introverts. Like they develop, but they need to get into the skill of communicating. So you need to communicate, socialize with your friends and show them, hey guys, I have done this app, why don't you try it out? So for that you need to have a lot of personal power within you to communicate to your friend circle. So start this. Think about how many friends you have currently and have objectives of trying to increase it. Day in, day out, for a period of time. I'll tell you, at a critical point, your brand will stand on its own. At the early stages, you have to nurture it. We call it that you need to have a minimum customer base to start the whole process. Once you get to that threshold, from that point onwards, your challenge is over. People will promote it. Within the groups, it will get promoted and your app will start generating revenues. Another important element is word of mouth. When one person has a good experience, he shares it with at least 2 or 3 people. But remember, if it's a bad experience, it will spread faster than the good experience. So ensure the basics. Your app should work very well. App should give the expectation or go beyond that and delight the customer. Have the hygienes in place before you get into advertising. We call it good advertising would kill a bad product faster. So before you start advertising, ensure that your app is in perfect condition, so there's no bad experience. Because today, in today's context, the next one will show you, whatever the bad thing you do will be in a second shared among your base, which means you are thrown out from the market immediately. That's the power of these social networks which has come into the place. Look at exhibitions, public forums. These are places which you can have a lot of people coming in. If you have, for example, if your app is, say, something to do with health, you look at the medical exhibition. There are hundreds of thousands of people comes in for that exhibition. Go in as the last entrant. At the cutoff point, you call them and say, I have so and so, can I get a space, like a small space which you can demonstrate your app to people who come in. Cost per contact point is very low, but you can reach a lot of people by getting into these exhibitions, forums. Public forums is another thing which, whenever you get the chance to talk about your app, talking to, say, open forums like in universities or whatever, you have to be very proactive in this, because as I told you, at this point, brand and you are same. You are now going to depart, and then you are trying to build your brand on its own. So you have to put a lot of effort to ensure your brand gets into that brand building process. So it's the effort of you will finally reflect, because you all don't have your own employees, you all don't have marketing budget, everything depends on what you do to your brand today, and then taking it to the next level. SMS marketing. I heard that you all are using only this at this point, majority on communicating. This is just one tool. As I told you, there are so many tools which I am explaining, like the forums, like the networking, like the public speaking. So all these are cost-effective channels where you can build up this community within you. Whoever comes on board onto your app, look after them like gold. Why? Because there's this concept called lifetime customer. That is, imagine the customer who downloads your app, stays with you for 1 year, how much of revenues he will get or give you, and assume the same customer moves out in 1 month. The stickiness or the person staying with your app depends on how good you look after that person. So keep this base intact. Okay, I just wanted to show this also. This is one of my friends who is living in Australia. She has started, she has called it My EBC Move or whatever, doing fancy stuff for her kids. The idea came up in a small way, and then what she did was, she has now opened up a Facebook fan page, and then she has hosted all her fancy items which she has done for small kids, aged between 5 to 10. This is free of charge. How many of you all have developed a fan page for your? Only 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So the important fact is how many people you have likes and talking about. So what you have to understand is, in this brand building process, for example, if you say it's travel, so you wanted to bring this community into one platform, right? Your end objective is to get them onto your travel app, but you can't directly communicate and touch these people. They are dispersed across the country. What you do, you get into a fan page. You develop your travel fan page, which talks about all new locations, new destinations which you can go, and then you have the app solution also. Why don't you get it on your mobile? That is how subtly you sell. You have your fan page, you have your solution. So customers has a talking point, they can come there and see what is happening. They can get all the relevant information, and then gradually it will spread. Whoever likes, the entire base gets a message, and their circle gets a message. So this is a very effective channel which is given free of charge for you all. When Facebook was not there, you had to have your own website to be developed. How costly it is, and maintenance and servers and all this stuff. Now everything is given free. Think about it. So tomorrow onwards, think all these touch points and then develop your own brand and bring it into existence. Okay, so those are the touch points which I wanted to highlight. On top of that, finally, do you have any questions up to this point? Right. I want to quote this example before I conclude. This is the founder. I don't know how many people know Starbucks. Raise of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. I also, honestly, I have not gone many times, 1 or 2 times when I was in Dubai. Recently I read a book. In that book, there was this person, it was mentioned about the CEO or co-founder, Howard Schultz. He was working for Starbucks. It started in 1970s, late 70s, the business. And in US, Starbucks was, or the coffee business was like, you go into outlet, you buy coffee and go home and prepare it and drink. That was the lifestyle in US at the beginning. So Starbucks was very happy. They saw people walking into their outlet, buying their coffee, and then go home and have it while watching a TV or whatever. Then this person, Howard Schultz, was an executive, a senior executive in that company, getting a thumping salary, very comfortable life. Then he happened to visit Italy. Then he saw in Italy there were these certain outlets, same concept, but people were spending time and drinking, consuming it at that particular outlet itself, reading newspapers, watching TV. It's like a lifestyle outlet where you other than it gives a novel experience other than just drinking coffee. Then he wanted to experiment this. In US, the concept was not established, it was not practiced. He came back to US and he said the top management, hey, I saw this concept, can I do it in few of our outlets? Then they said, okay, let's do it. But only we can give a narrow space within the outlet, don't dilute the other the layouts of the shop. You can do it in few selected outlets. Then he selects some outlets and he started this whole novel experience process. Then results were starting to show. People are coming, spending time in that small area which has been allocated for this new concept of Howard Schultz. But then when he went back to the top management saying, why can't we change this? Top management said, no way. Starbucks is not about people coming in and then consuming at that point. You go home and do. That is the lifestyle, right? But this person was so persistent. He said, no, I think this is going to change. I want to change it. I am going to drive. So he resigned from that company, getting a good salary, getting a good job, all perks, taking the risk of changing the lifestyle of US consumers. Are we willing to take a risk like that? You are getting a thumping salary and all the stuff, moving out and trying to do the change. I quote this because this is the same stage which you all are in. You all are trying, apps are new to Sri Lankan consumers. It's in the emerging stage. You all are trying to create this need, but it's like Starbucks. It's possible, but you all have to have that perseverance to go and do it. What happened? He went back, he started his own Starbucks-like experience, he called it Espresso, and he started few outlets. And then people were spending hell of a lot of time, and he managed to buy over Starbucks from the former owners. And then look at what he has achieved today. He has 20,891 outlets in 62 countries, world's largest coffee house company, one person's dream of changing the lifestyle. There are so many people who want to change the lifestyle of Sri Lankans. With apps, everything is possible as far as you think it's possible, as long as you think it's possible. So you all have the opportunity. It's not easy to become an entrepreneur. Lot of challenges, but if you go beyond those hurdles, you will see the green valley. So it's up to you guys. Thanks a lot for coming in for this presentation and listening to me. And you all have already taken, I can see those persevering attitudes on you, because spending time till about 7 o'clock here, rather than going home and having a comfortable time at home. So you have that courage. Let's hope that your apps get into the next stage and more consumers get onto your app, and then you build your brand, and down the line you become a solid entrepreneur in Sri Lanka. Thanks a lot. So if you have any questions, you can ask now, and then you can call for the day.
The floor is open for questions.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Any language, huh?
Any language.
Even all three.
Tamil I can talk, but I can't read.
Yeah, we can help.
chatting application එකක් තිබිලා.
ඔව්.
ඒක අපි නම් දවසක් දැන් download කරේ මේ ඒ කියන්නේ regularly down වෙනවා නම්. ඒක අනිවාර්යයෙන්
bad reputation එක එනවා. yes.
ඒතර අපි කොහොම කම් කරන්නේ? අපි ඒකේ ගොඩින්
ගොඩ එන එක තමයි මම කිව්වේ basics හරියට තියෙනවා.
ඒක
technical
fault වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
හා?
technical fault වෙන්න පුළුවන් අපි කොච්චර ඒක ඕවර්කම් කරනද අපිට කරන්න බෑ මොකද සමහරවිට මේ බේස් එක
yes
සර්වර්
yes
down
yes
වෙලා
yes
මොකද ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණොත් ඒතර අපිට කරගෙන දෙන්නේ නැති නේ
yes ඔයාගේ app එකට විතර නෙමෙයි ඉස්සලාට එකටත් වෙනවා අපේ network outage වෙනවා දැන් අපේ එහෙම දෙයක් වුණාම අපි කරන්නේ ඒ බේස් එක identify කරගෙන message එකක් යවනවා next day saying we apologize for this technical failure thanks for using Etisalat. We credit some money also for the customer. We give them something because of the inconvenience of it. So, A level එකට අපිට යන්න පුළුවන්. So, you have to think in your chatting, how can you give some relief to that customer because he has gone through that bad experience. So, think about that side. You have to give something back in the simple way of apology or give something tangible also, if possible. People understand. You have to keep continuous engage when on customers like that. If you communicate it rightly saying it was a technical failure, sorry we could not identify this beforehand, then people accept. They don't churn out like that. But if you don't communicate, it happens regularly, they are clueless, they're in the dark. So this regularly try to, if you have a Facebook fan page, you can go there and post a message saying, okay, this was happening at this time, at this date. So we humbly apologize on what has happened to you.
marketing කරනකොට තමයි දන්නේ නැහැ මේක සමහරට ඔයාලගේ අහසක් කරනවා. Etisalat එකේ customer base එක මොනවා වගේද කියලා අපිට idea එකක් නැහැ. අපි ඒව idea එකක් ගන්න යනවා නම් අපිට මොනවා වගේ methods use කරන්න ඕනද?
අපි අපේ කස්ටමර් බේස් එක අපි දැනගන්නේ සමීක්ෂණ වාර්තාව. උදාහරණයක් ගත්තම අපේ තියෙනවා හැම මාසෙකම අපි බ්‍රෑන්ඩ් ට්‍රැක් කියලා සමීක්ෂණයක් කරනවා. ලංකාවේ එක තැනක නෙමෙයි හැම පළාතකම පාරිභෝගිකයන් කාව වෙන විදියට. ඒක අපි අහන ප්‍රශ්න තමයි මොනවද කරන රැකියාව වයස කීයද කොහෙද ඉන්නේ ඒ වගේ ගොඩක් විස්තර අහනවා. කොච්චර ස්පෙන්ඩ් කරනවද? ඒකට අපිට අදහසක් එනවා ඕකේ අපි එකේ ඉන්නේ මේ ආදායම් මට්ටම් තියෙන මේ වයස් පරතරය මේ රේන්ජ් එකේ ඉන්න පාරිභෝගිකයන් කියලා දැන් අපේ බලපෑම ගොඩක් ඉන්නේ 30 and 35 ඒ රේන්ජ් එකට ගන්න පාරිභෝගිකයන්ද අපේ නෙට්වර්ක් එකේ ඉන්නේ. ඔව් එයාටෙල් ගත්තම ගොඩක් යූත් 15වත් 20ත් අතර. මොකද ඒගොල්ලෝගේ බ්‍රෑන්ඩ් පර්සනැලිටි එක ගොඩක් පිළිුනේ තරුණ කට්ටියට. හරියට අපේ ටීවෝ කාලේ වගේ. අපි කමියුනිකේට් කරන හැම දෙයකින්ම පාරිභෝගිකයා අපේ ගාවට එන පාරිභෝගිකයා ඩිෆයින් වෙනවා. ඒකනේ මම කියනවා බ්‍රෑන්ඩ් පර්සනැලිටි එකක් හදන්න ඕන කියලා. අපි පෙන්නන කට්ටිය තමයි අපිට එන්නේ. ඒක බිස්නස් ස්ටේෂන් එකක් අපි කොයි බේස් එක පිටපස්සේ යනවාද කියලා. ඒකත් එක්කයි ස්ට්‍රැටජි එකයි ඔක්කොම වර්ක් අවුට් වෙන්නේ. So ලොකු කම්පනීස් වලට අර සර්වේ එක කරන්න පුළුවන්. But ඔයගලන්ගේ ස්ටාර්ටර්ස් ලට you'll have to find some other way interaction එකක් customers ලත් එක්ක response එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් විදිහේ channel එකක් හදා ගන්න වෙනවා. to get this information. research කරන්න ලොකු වේදමක් දරන්න බෑ. මේක fan page එක use කරන්න පුළුවන් if required. Facebook fan page. You send inbox messages. Only he will respond back. Something like that. Sample එකකින් you can gauge what is the profile and then ඒකේ වැදගත්කම තියෙන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැනගත්තාම මේක තමයි මේ target audience එක තමයි මේ product එකට හොඳම කියලා you can aggressively go behind that things. නැත්නම් blindly you will go in different directions.
In that case, Etisalat can do that for the active processing, like say not in figures like numbers, but percentage wise you can give that idea, right? So then
we to a great extent we can give what the problem that we have as a company that we will be facing is your app will cater to a different segment. Your app will cater to a different segment and his app might cater to a different segment. So for each person, if we were to sit and do the profiling as an organization, that is not our core competency. that is not where we will invest time. Maybe general ideas we can give about a customer base, which we do, and even when you all request for bulk SMS, we give a certain set of criteria that we are very flexible. We can, to a certain extent, accommodate requests. But if you want a drill down version, then it's a bit difficult for us to work on that.
අපිට geography කියන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ කොහෙද network එකකින් කියන්නලා මේ දකුණු පළාත මෙච්චර කට්ටියක් ඉන්නවා වැඩියෙන්ම 180ක් වගේ බේස් එකකින් ඉන්නේ වෙස්ටර්න් ප්‍රොවින්ස් එකේ. ඒ වගේ තොරතුරු දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඊට පාරිභෝගිකයා මොනවාද වයස් කාණ්ඩය ඒ වගේ තොරතුරු අපි ගාව නැහැ. ඒක සමීක්ෂණයකින්ම තමයි ගන්නවා.
අපි ඩෙවලොපර්ස් අපි geography කොහොමද කියලා දැනගන්න පුළුවන්.
To a great extent, what we can do, but see, what we have is in terms of resources and time commitments also. What we can do from our end is we can't build out the whole database and give it in a perfect snapshot. That's a bit difficult. So what we want, like Mr. Samit correctly pointed out here, is that through your fan base. Now, what I would like to say is that through your fan page, you can communicate. It doesn't need to be primarily. He at the moment may not be an Etisalat customer, but still he may be a friend that fits your target audience. So you could just have an interaction like Mr. Samit said, you can put an FB box and have a small survey, ask a few questions and gauge their response and how they feel about a certain topic or a certain app. Just you can have an interaction, engagement with the audience target, and then you can apply that. You can get a sort of an idea of how this sort of app will work, or whether it will work, or what you need to do more to make it work. So you can get an idea through those sort of interactions with your customer base. Now that we can't even do now. Sometimes we can give you the data, maybe 5 or 10 numbers or something, but may not be the exact audience that you want. But you all, through your personal context, you all are most of our uni students and all, so you can get exposed to a lot of people through that. So you can ask a few people, you can just have some chat, and you can get a lot of insights, more useful insights than even us. Without that personal linkage or personal connection with that.
You can also now, for example, you all are having these are mobile customers. If you want to get a first-hand experience, go to a communication outlet and show your concept and see how many people are showing interest. When they show interest, you can find out what is his profile, what is he doing, what sort of income level he's having. So your pickup you can do. Talk to the retailer and get a small space, and whoever walks in. I have done this research when I joined Etisalat at the time plus at company told me to do a research. So I went to 2 markets, Kampaha and Degoda. I interviewed all the students, school-going kids, and then I found out at that time, that was in 2006, Hutch was dominating in that group. That was the peak in Hutch among youth. They were giving couple packages and all those stuff. So I spoke to them. I understood what sort of a profile they are coming from, why are they using Hutch. So all those details you can ask the customer. So if you have your app, you can talk to the consumer and say, is this app meeting one of your requirements? If yes, okay, then do the research questionnaire further. So in this case, as I told you, you are the person who is going to advertise, you are the person who is going to communicate, do the research, develop the app, all those. So it's all to do with what you do, because you are the entrepreneur who is trying to build up this brand. So use that technique also.
I think you might be do something like this now. If you have a certain idea and you have, you can do your own survey using FB fan page, and we might be able to tell you, if you can tell us, this is my target segment. I'm looking for people who are student between age 20 and 25. So we might be able to find using our stat how many people we have in our network. If you are looking for your potential customer, whether Etisalat has my potential customer base or not, we might be able to help you up to some extent. I mean, we might not be able to accommodate all the requests, but we can give you certain guidelines. I mean, like this bulk campaign, we might be able to accommodate few requests, first come first serve basis. We might be able to give you some idea. Because end of the day, if you develop app and if Etisalat doesn't have that particular base, there's no point. That's true. So in that case, we might be able to come up with something.
What about the others? Yes.
Because you were saying that you can do this like based on communication shops. We actually tried it based in Gaul, and that was like 2 years ago when the app zone was launched. So people actually didn't know what it was. Then actually we went on trying different options, and we ended up there. So the problem is we got a few communication guys to tell people, you know, there's something like this happening. I actually tried it with Tech News and Business, but what happened was people were like, so that thing came out, you know. We are third party and people have this trust issue. Okay, I'm paying $30 and, you know, why can't Etisalat? And why should you? And we sent on this, you know, we started sending SMSs and all the numbers we started spamming. Hey, why can't Etisalat tell us? And it was that we don't have a, you know, number that we can use. It goes from our mobile number. They're like, are you working for Etisalat? That's the first thing they are. Then we said, no, we are doing a third party thing. Then do you think will that work? Because you are a complete third party. And maybe because people don't know what AppZone is. I don't know. And maybe that has changed. I'm telling you like 2 years back. Yeah. So, yeah.
But now it has changed for a great extent.
What I'd like to answer that question is now why Etisalat can't do that specific. I understand. No, I'll just I'll explain the situation as of the moment. We have about 400 odd apps, so I can't or we can't as Etisalat communicate each particular app to the customer. That will be a time-consuming process and it won't be very effective. So what we are doing now is we will promote the brand AppZone.
Yeah, so then we started using the URL, then we had a few URLs for our apps, so we started sending that out also, then people had some verification that we are authentic people. So still, because it was news that we were focusing on, people had the issues with authenticity and stuff like that. So then we dropped it.
So your app was on news?
Yeah, almost all Biz News and Tech News and all the news.
That part we are addressing now in terms of promoting the concept of AppZone. So now the consumers are more, you know, aware of what the AppZone concept is and what you know, it's a platform where it can be developed.
I understand, because people in Colombo, they will get it because they are open for it.
Yes.
And we piloted it in Gaul, which you know you wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
Maybe you should, if you can have, I'm not saying you should have promote app by app. If you can have a broader publicity for like outstation, we are not targeting Colombo because we know because we tried using the business single lease version. That is where we tried it, but it didn't work out for some reason.
You also have used ATL and all this stuff also to give publicity to AppZone. If you look at, there are 2 commercial situations.
Right. And anyways, fast so campaign comes to
yes. So it's a journey which we are going.
But that's actually a very useful insight.
Because I would like to see going to outstations because we know that we can, you know, leverage there not to.
And also keep in mind that this smartphone evolution is also taking place. Now currently it's only about 10 to 15% people having smartphones. This is now exponentially growing. So more people getting onto smartphones means more chances you get to promote these apps and all those downloads because they are getting into more data savvy customers. So as data penetration is very low. It's about 12% people actively getting onto the internet. They are not aware of how to use the internet to start with. So that's why I said using the Starbucks example. We are in that evolution period. People are now gradually changing into smartphones. So future is very bright. So keep hopes. Don't give it up if you want to see the change. I hope that you have got a good understanding about this brand building process, and because end of the day, your success, not only you, whoever, like even a doctor or a professor or an engineer, whoever, they should have good marketing skills. In a doctor's case, he is the brand because he is giving the service. So success of that doctor would depend on how many patients he sees, right? That will depend on how good his marketing skills are. If you are a bad doctor, if you shout at customer, even though how specialized you are, how good you are in your service, people will not come. So everybody needs to have this skill of being a good marketer and building your own either a personal brand or your own app in this case. Thank you.
First and foremost, thank you, Shamil, for allocating his time and giving us a wonderful insight in terms of brand management. I hope it helped all of you all here today and it was worth your time. So this small concept that insight will be taken into and we'll have a look at it. Definitely it's something very useful for us as well. So we will try and take the AppZone brand outside the Colombo base as well, make it more prominent. So that's a very useful insight. Thank you for that. And just want to highlight the other concept like Shamil told, even when it comes to Google Play Store, as you can see, they don't promote individual apps. They just show once you enter Google Play Store, they show the apps of the most downloaded apps. That's not a way of marketing those apps, but they just show what is available in their store. But if you look at something like Angry Birds, something that is very popular, Google did not per se promote Angry Birds. Angry Birds, they did their own marketing and sort of made it more prominent. They did viral videos. But that is something that you could do. Make a small YouTube video of how your app works and what is your app, and put it out there. You share it on your fan page, you share it on your FB, whatever, your own profile or Twitter accounts. You can make it available on social media and put it out there. Keep engaging the customer and make your app on top of the mind of the customer. I'll tell you a very interesting story from our internal employee base. What happened was, actually he was the employee of the year last year. What he did was, he's an engineer in our company. He actually, while he was traveling in the train, one of his co-passengers had asked a simple question about how to check the stock. So he actually, our engineer, since that particular app that he was using was from the AppZone and it was on top of his mind, he explained to his co-passenger how to use this app, and this is available, this is how you can see the stock prices and all, and he explained it. That co-passenger was so impressed, and so he found it so useful that he started using it, and he kept contacting our engineer again and thanking him for his useful help and all that. And actually that engineer went on to win a prize at our annual staff convention because he was able to inspire a customer. And that inspiration came from not a normal generic Etisalat product, but an AppZone developer's AppZone product app. So that's how powerful your apps are. So you can see that even we feel a lot of pride in promoting it. So then obviously you all will have better ways of promoting your apps because you all know it inside out. That is what we want these marketing sessions to enable you to think in that way. So I hope today's session from Mr. Shamil allowed you to think and broaden your thought process on how to take your apps and develop your app as a brand. This is very important. Okay, so to conclude the session, I would like to invite Daminda, who is a system manager for e-commerce. Give us a small token of appreciation to Shamil. Thank you, friends. Hope you all enjoyed the session. So hope we have many more sessions in here you all towards this AppZone marketing session. So hope to see you all there. Thank you.
In terms of challenge, as you know that telecommunication industry is the most challenging industry per se in Sri Lanka because the market is more saturated. If you look at the mobile subscriber base, it's almost more than 100% over in terms of voice population. People are using calls and all the stuff. But as I told you, internet is very low in terms of penetration. So that is where the opportunity lies for us in the future. So we are aggressively going behind developing, educating consumers on the usage of internet. And then as a result, this AppZone, all those concepts, we are actively driving consumers as well as our app developers to give more ammunition to our consumers to get on board on AppZone and all the other stuff. And also, as I told you in the presentation, like the book hub, where we are trying to get into cross industries onto the mobile platform, like reading books on your
tablet or your phone. So those type of needs are fulfilled when people know the usage of or the usefulness of internet. So now strategically our focus is on building or penetrating the internet market, giving people more reasons to get onto internet, and then showing them the positive side of internet. A challenge in the sense on voice, it's very challenging because as I told you, we have hardly a differentiation factor on voice because everybody has the basics on coverage to price and all this stuff. So the focus is now on data or the internet.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yes, thank you.
මම සජිතු දෙයන්ට සබරගම විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ විහාරක විද්‍යාපීඨයේ තුන්වන වසරේ ඉගෙනම ලබනවා. මම ඇප්සෝන් එකත් එක්ක එකතු වෙන්නේ දැන් අවුරුදු දෙකමාර විතර කලින්. මගේ ඇප්ස් තමයි Lovebirds, ඒ කියන්නේ chatting application එකක්, ඒ වගේම health tips, contact backup වගේ application එක තමයි මම ඇප්සෝන් එකත් එක්ක එකතු වෙන්නේ. දැන් that application 20 ගානක් තියෙනවා. අතර මේ application අපි develop කරාට අපිට customers අතරට යන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එකයි තියෙන මූලිකම ප්‍රශ්නේ වෙන්නේ. මොකද ඒ සම්බන්ධ අපිට දැනුමක් ඇත්තටම තිබ්බේ නැහැ. ඒත් අපි මේ ඇප්සෝන් එකත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා මේගොල්ලන් කරන මාකටිං සම්බන්ධව කරන මේ සෙමිනාර්ස් එක වර්ක්ෂොප් එක අපි ඇත්තටම ඒ සම්බන්ධ ලොකු දැනුමක් ලබා ගන්නවා. අපි අද ලබා ගත්තා වගේ කස්ටමර්ස්ලා මොන විදිහට හිතන්නේ අපි කට්ටියත් එක්ක ඩීල් කරන්නේ කොහොමද, මොනවාරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණාම අපි මොනවද කරන්න ඕනේ වගේ ලොකු තොරතුරු මේ ඇප්සෝන් එකේ වර්ක්ෂොප් එක එකතු වීමෙන් අපිට ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඇත්තටම සතුටුයි මේගොල්ලෝ කරන වැඩේ. ඉතිස්ලාට එකට බොහොම ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඇප්සෝන් එකට ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙන්න ඕනේ. අපිට හොඳ දැනුමක් හොඳ දෙයක් ලබා දීම සම්බන්ධව ස්තුතියි.